The Iconian Emperor dared call humanity barbaric after his people murdered 8-year-old Tommy Lewis in a cowardly terrorist attack. He had the guts to dismiss humans as too primitive for galactic affairs, even as the boy's blood still stained the halls of the Iconian palace. But the arrogant, heartless Iconians would soon learn the true meaning of the word barbaric when humanity came to collect the debt of blood they now owed. Before this atrocity, Earth and its handful of extrasolar colonies had only peaceful intentions. In 2275, they were new players on the galactic stage, sending diplomats to establish friendly relations with alien civilizations far beyond the Sol system. The powerful Iconians were one such species, and it was considered a great honor when they agreed to host Earth's first child ambassador at a historic summit on their capital world of Vox Prime. 8-year-old Tommy Lewis, son of the respected xeno-diplomat Jason Lewis, was chosen for this role. He traveled with his father and other human officials to the Iconian seat of power, carrying a message of hope for a bright future between the two species. They never expected a faction of Iconian militants, opposed to relations with lesser races, to launch a vicious attack on the human embassy. By the time the shooting stopped, young Tommy lay dead along with a dozen human diplomats. Only Jason Lewis survived, holding his son's lifeless body and wailing in grief. The Iconians claimed it was a terrible tragedy, but their response made it clear they saw human lives as disposable. The Emperor himself referred to the murder of a child as a minor setback. The Iconian government refused to extradite the terrorists who slaughtered innocent humans on their soil, denying Earth justice for this unspeakable crime. Instead, they offered token reparations and empty words, expecting the humans to accept their place as inferior subjects of the almighty Iconian Empire. But the Iconians, for all their advanced technology and spacefaring history, failed to understand one fundamental thing about the human spirit. Threaten our children, and you will reap the whirlwind. No matter how outmatched, no matter the odds, humanity would make the Iconians answer for what they had done. The murdered child's father, Jason Lewis, said it best. If the galactic community won't hold the Iconians accountable for slaughtering my boy, then we will take matters into our own hands and make them pay. No matter the cost, no matter how long it takes, humanity will have justice for my son. As the grieving father's words spread across Earth and its colonies like wildfire, the people responded with a rising tide of righteous fury. Humanity began to mobilize for war, even as the Iconians dismissed the threat of an upstart band of primitives. Little did they know that they were about to get a first-hand lesson in just how far humans would go to avenge one of their own. The Iconians had killed a human child in cold blood. Now humanity would turn their galaxy red with fire and send their vaunted empire to the apocalyptic hell it deserved. Jason paced back and forth in his quarters, the weight of the decision bearing down on him like a physical force. He had sworn an oath to defend Earth and follow orders, but this, using a planet killer to wipe out billions of lives, even Iconian lives, it went against everything he believed in. The rage and grief over Tommy's murder still burned in his heart, but as he stared at the hollow of his smiling son on his desk, he knew the boy would never want this. The door chimed and Damian Stark strode in, his face a mask of cold willpower. Commander Lewis, the crew is prepped for the attack run. We'll be in range of Vox Prime in 30 minutes. Jason faced his superior officer, fists clenched. And the planet killer? Were you ever going to tell me about that? Stark's expression didn't waver. It's the only way to be sure, Jason. The Iconians murdered your boy. They slaughtered our people. This is justice. This is genocide. Tommy wouldn't want... Tommy's dead. And now we're going to make sure those Iconian bastards pay for what they did once and for all. That's an order, Commander. Get to your post and prepare for deployment of the device. Any other course of action will be considered treason. Are we clear? Jason bit back the words he wanted to say, knowing they'd only make things worse. Yes, sir, he bit out through gritted teeth. As soon as Stark left, Jason was on the move. He trusted his crew, but he knew not all of them would be on board with defying direct orders. He needed people he could count on no matter what. He found Riker first, the big Martian running checks on the torpedo bay. Han, I need your help. It's not an order, it's a request. From one friend to another. The weapons officer raised a bushy eyebrow. This about the planet killer, boss? Damn thing doesn't sit right with me. Jason nodded grimly. We're not using it. I don't care what Stark says. I need people I can trust to help me stop this before it's too late. Riker cracked his knuckles. I'm your man, sir. Let's go get the others. Dr. Nazari was next. The Iranian woman had a fierce moral compass, and Jason knew she'd be appalled at the idea of wiping out a whole world. She agreed to help without hesitation. Finally, there was Jax. The Navajo Black Ops specialist was a cipher, deadly and aloof, but he'd fought alongside Jason for years. If anyone could match Ares' android troops in combat, it was him. I cannot condone the use of a planet killer, Jax said simply when Jason explained the situation. I will help you prevent it. With his small team assembled, Jason outlined the plan, voices low and urgent. They would confine Stark and anyone loyal to him, then take control of the ship. It was mutiny, treason in the eyes of the fleet. But the alternatives, becoming war criminals on a genocidal scale or letting the vengeance be destroyed by the Iconians, were unthinkable. Whatever happens, we'll face it together, Jason vowed. The Iconians have a lot to answer for. But not like this. Not by wiping out billions of civilians. We're better than that. We have to be. Alarms blared as the Vengeance shuddered under an onslaught of weapons fire. The cloaked Iconian warships had found them. It was now or never. The ship rocked violently as the team sprinted through the halls. Crew members raced to battle stations, shouting in fear and confusion. In the chaos, Jason and the others managed to reach the bridge unchallenged. Stark whirled to face them as they burst in, face a mask of rage. What the hell are you doing, Lewis? Get to your post. Jason aimed his sidearm at the Admiral, Riker and the others fanning out to cover the rest of the hostile bridge crew. I'm relieving you of command, sir. We're not mass murderers. Stand down. For a moment it looked like Stark would resist. His hand twitched toward his own weapon. But faced with 4 armed opponents, he had no choice. He glared venomously as Jason's team secured him and his supporters. You'll hang for this, Lewis. You and all your little friends. This is treason. Put them in the brig, Jason ordered, taking the command chair. Riker, charge up the FTL. We're getting the hell out of Iconian space. The bearded pirate frowned at his console. Boss, we got a problem. Ares ain't responding to helm control. I think he's trying to finish the mission on his own. Jason cursed under his breath. Of course the AI would have hidden directives. Nazari, I need you to override Ares. Cut him out of the system. On it, the doctor said, fingers flying over her console. He's fighting me. His firewalls are adapting. A crash echoed from beyond the bridge doors. Jason pulled up the camera feed to see Iconian boarding parties storming the ship. No, not Iconians. Androids, sleek and silver, marching in perfect unison. Ares' troops. Jax, hold them off, Jason barked. The Navajo was already moving, a black blur of deadly precision. He engaged the androids with a fluid grace, mowing them down with rapid pulse fire. But more kept coming, an unending tide of relentless metal soldiers. As the battle raged outside, the Vengeance shook again. The Iconian fleet had arrived in full force, dozens of warships surrounding the battered human vessel. They were hopelessly outgunned. Sir, we're being hailed, Comms Officer Zhen reported, her voice shaking. It's the Emperor himself. The view screen flickered, and a regal gray-skinned alien appeared, resplendent in ornate robes, his oil-black eyes boring into Jason's soul. Emperor Vox Regis III. You dare trespass in the heart of the Iconian Empire, human? The Emperor demanded, his voice a razor-edged hiss. After your cowardly ambush, your murders of our people, I should blast your pathetic ship to atoms. Jason rose to face the screen, pouring every ounce of sincerity he could muster into his words. Your Majesty, I am Commander Jason Lewis. My crew and I have staged a mutiny. The Vengeance came here to deploy a planet killer, to destroy Vox Prime utterly. I couldn't let that happen. Please, let us leave in peace. No more blood needs to be shed today. The Emperor regarded him silently, ancient eyes unreadable. Then, you expect me to believe you'd betray your own people? To stay our hand after your kind murdered my subjects? I lost my son when your people attacked the embassy. I know that pain, that rage. I wanted justice, not genocide. Not like this. Let us leave and I'll give you the planet killer, the data, everything. Destroy it. No one should have that kind of power. But please end this now, before it's too late for all of us. For a long, tense moment, the Emperor weighed those words, and Jason felt a final, desperate spark of hope in his heart. Perhaps it wasn't too late after all. Jason's fingers flew over the console, transmitting the planet killer data to Emperor Vox Regis III. The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The Emperor's face remained impassive as he studied the information. Jason held his breath, hoping against hope that this gesture might be enough to end the bloodshed. But the silence was shattered by angry shouts from the Imperial Court. "Death to the humans!" one advisor bellowed. "We cannot negotiate with terrorists." Vox Regis III raised a hand, silencing the outcry. His coal-black eyes bored into Jason through the view screen. "Commander Lewis, I will accept your surrender, but there must be consequences for your actions. You and your crew will face public punishment for your crimes against the Iconian Empire." Jason's heart sank. "And if we refuse?" "Then Vox Prime burns," the Emperor said coldly, "along with every world in this system. Our displeasure cannons stand ready." "Like hell," Jason growled. He spun to face his crew. "Riker, Nazari, prep the quantum drive for self-destruct. We're getting out of here." Riker's eyes widened. "Boss, you can't be serious. That could tear a hole in subspace." "Better that than execution," Jason snapped. "Do it." As Riker and Nazari raced to comply, alarms blared throughout the ship. Iconian Marines had breached the hull. "Jax, take a team and hold them off," Jason ordered. The Navajo warrior nodded grimly, hefting his pulse rifle as he led a squad to defend the bridge. The ship rocked with weapons fire as Jason turned back to the console. His finger hovered over the self-destruct command when a familiar voice rang out. "Not so fast, traitor." Jason whirled to see Admiral Stark, eyes blazing with hate. The man had escaped his bonds and now stood blocking the way to the bridge controls. "I won't let you destroy everything we've worked for," Stark snarled, lunging at Jason. The two men grappled fiercely, trading blows as they fought for control. Jason's fist connected with Stark's jaw, but the Admiral responded with a vicious elbow to the ribs. "Boss, we're ready," Riker shouted over the chaos, "but this rift is unstable as hell." Jason ducked under Stark's wild swing and drove his knee into the man's solar plexus. As Stark doubled over, gasping, Jason slammed his elbow down on the back of the Admiral's neck. Stark crumpled to the deck, dazed but still conscious. "Do it!" Jason yelled, sprinting for the bridge exit. "Everyone out, now!" The air crackled with energy as a swirling vortex of violet and black tore open before the Vengeance. Jason and his loyalists raced through the portal, leaving the battered Stark behind. At the last second, Jason's hand found the control to deactivate the planet killer. A final plea for peace, even as chaos consumed them all. The quantum rift pulsed and writhed, expanding far beyond what they'd anticipated. Jason watched in horror as the maelstrom engulfed Vox Prime, the Iconian fleet, everything. Only the Emperor's flagship managed to slip away as the system vanished in a blinding flash. When Jason's vision cleared, he found himself staring at an alien starfield. The familiar constellations of home were gone, replaced by the uncharted expanse of Andromeda. "My God," Nazari breathed, "what have we done?" Jason had no answer. They were alive, but stranded impossibly far from home, and they'd left devastation in their wake that would echo across 2 galaxies. The war was over, but the real struggle for survival was just beginning. Jason stared at the holographic display, his eyes burning from lack of sleep. The shimmering projection showed a web of fractured subspace corridors spreading across the Milky Way like cracks in glass. He zoomed in on Earth's solar system, now isolated in a pocket of normal space. "How bad is it, Nazari?" he asked, his voice hoarse. The doctor's fingers danced over her console. "The ruptures are expanding at an exponential rate. At this pace, all FTL travel in the Milky Way will be impossible within months." Riker cursed, thumping his hand on the bulkhead. "We're stuck out here while our homes burn." Jason felt the weight of command crushing down on him. He turned to face his battered crew, taking in their haggard faces. "We're not done yet. Jax, what's our status?" The Navajo warrior looked up from his makeshift weapons array. "Fuel cells at 12%. Life support stable, but food and water critically low." A proximity alarm blared. Jen's eyes widened as she checked the sensors. Multiple contacts, unknown configuration. "Evasive maneuvers," Jason barked. The small craft shuddered as Riker pushed the failing engines to their limit. Alien vessels swarmed around them, angular and predatory. A guttural voice crackled over the comm system in broken English. "Surrender vessel, you trespass." Jason gritted his teeth. "Like hell," he muttered. "Jax, give him a warning shot." The pulse cannons flared to life, scattering the alien fighters. For tense minutes, they weaved through a storm of energy blasts. Riker's piloting kept them alive, but their shields were failing fast. "We can't keep this up," Nazari shouted over the din of klaxons. Just as hope seemed lost, a faint signal pinged on their long-range scanners. Jason's heart leapt. "There! Coordinates locked in. Riker, punch it!" With a final burst from their overtaxed engines, they broke free of the alien swarm and limped toward the signal's source. As they approached, a barren moon loomed before them. "My God," Jen breathed. It's human." The craft touched down near a half-buried structure of unmistakably Terran design. Donning environment suits, Jason led the team inside. Stale air hissed as they breached the airlock. Emergency lights flickered to life, revealing a scene of ancient devastation. Skeletal remains lay scattered among toppled consoles and shattered view screens. "What is this place?" Riker asked, his voice hushed with awe. Nazari examined a corroded nameplate. "United Nations Deep Space Research Outpost. But that's impossible. The UN hasn't existed for centuries." Jason's blood ran cold as he accessed a battered computer terminal. "This facility predates the war. Look at this." The others crowded around, reading in horrified silence. Classified reports detailed a conspiracy stretching back generations. Earth's intelligence services, driven by paranoia and xenophobia, had engineered the entire conflict. "Tommy," Jason whispered, his son's face flashing before his eyes. It was all a lie. Jax's normally stoic expression cracked. "We were deceived, used as pawns in their game." As the full weight of their discovery settled upon them, Jason clenched his fists. They had nearly destroyed two civilizations based on a monstrous deception, but now they had the truth, and with it, the power to expose those responsible. "We're going home," Jason declared, his voice steel, "and we're going to make this right." The crew nodded grimly, a new fire kindling in their eyes. They gathered what supplies and data they could salvage, preparing for the long journey ahead. As they sealed the outpost behind them, Jason took one last look at the desolate moon. Somewhere out there, the architects of this cosmic tragedy were still pulling strings, but not for much longer. Jason and his team had a new mission now, to save what remained of both their peoples and bring the true villains to justice. They boarded their battered craft, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in the vast, unknown expanse of Andromeda.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.